All right, so hello everyone. My name is Mariah. I am one of the Ally Center tutors, and I'm also one of the adjunct professors at Lancaster Bible College. I teach some of the writing classes. A lot of them are in person, but you may occasionally see me hop in an online class as well. I'm excited to be joining you guys tonight for navigating Word and Canvas. So we're going to hop in, but before that, let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for this evening. Thank you for each student who has taken time out of their evening to join this workshop. Lord, I ask for everybody who may still be on their way, allow them to find it and have no technology problems. And Lord, as we dive into this topic, I ask that you would help each one of us to have patience with technology and insight into being able to navigate it well. And Lord, we love you. It's in your name. Amen. All right, so this workshop is going to be my goal is for it to be very, very hands-on and tangible for you. So if you are not already sitting in front of a computer ready to sort of follow along, I would encourage you to get that set up because ideally this, again, if you're really kind of familiar with Word and Canvas, but not super familiar, the goal is to get comfortable. Because whenever we're comfortable with Word and we're comfortable with Canvas, it helps to take some of the anxiety out of approaching our assignments and approaching navigating the online world. And it just sort of cuts that step out of the process. So what I'm going to do is I am going to open this email so that it doesn't do that. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. All right, give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. I got a 1 and a 2, fabulous. So I'm going to start by navigating to sort of the home base where we're going to do all of our things. I'm going to go to lbc.edu. Any web browser will do. I am using Microsoft Edge. My personal preference is Safari, but for whatever reason, I don't have Safari on this particular computer, so I'm using Edge tonight. Up on the top left-hand corner, I'm going to hover over the portal spot. And sometimes whenever I hover over stuff, it jumps away. So you may need to click on it to make it stay before you can navigate down. But I'm going to go ahead and click on student. And this right here is our handy dandy student portal. Thumbs up if you've been to our student portal before. Love it. So just in case for anybody who've used this later, the student portal platform has lots of links that are helpful for a variety of uses. We have the campus store, my LBC and financial aid. We have tech support and the payment dashboard. Particularly useful for promoting our purposes tonight, we have the link to our Ally services. Anything Ally Center related, you can go there to schedule an appointment. If you have a great time tonight and you're like, oh my gosh, I'd like to spend more time with the Ally Center, you can certainly schedule an appointment later and join us there. Hello, phone number who just joined us. Welcome to the conversation. Not as practical for us tonight, but definitely something to keep note of is the link to the library. Of course, we like to use the library quite a bit here at LBC. The two things that we are going to be centering on tonight is the Canvas link and then the Microsoft Online. We're not going to hit that up yet, but first we're going to start with Canvas. You guys all got here today, so I'm assuming you guys have actually made it to Canvas, right? You got a smile and a nod. I love it. So I'm going to click into Canvas. Now, depending on how your courses and your dashboards are set up, you're probably going to see something kind of like this. It's going to have a dashboard with however many classes you have listed. And the goal, what I'm aiming to do tonight, so you were promised navigating Word, getting from Word to submitting that document to Canvas. So I'm going to show you guys how to get into Canvas, how to look at the assignment requirements to see, hey, what type of file that do I need? Going back to Word, getting a document set up so that we're sort of functioning and ready to go, ready to submit. Hello there, welcome. And then we're going to actually submit it to Canvas, and then we're going to do a little bit more exploration in both Canvas and in Microsoft Word. So we're going to do the basic run through, and then we're going to come back through and get a little bit more detailed. So that's the goal. So your dashboard may look something like this. Whenever you click into your courses, it probably doesn't look like mine because whenever I design my courses, I have mine set up to go straight to the modules. And modules just means what week we're on. You can see that laid out over here. Yours probably looks a little bit more like your home screen probably looks a little bit more like this, right? So you have each one of the weeks laid out right there. And then if you click into one of the weeks, you'll see all of the lessons laid out for you. Does that look familiar? Awesome. So I just want to make sure we all were starting at the same place. I am going to go back into one of my courses because I have a specific assignment that I want to show you guys. Okay, this is how it could be set up and this is how you can submit it. So back on my screen, I'm going to navigate down to week 8. And this is one of the assignments that one of my students will have to do. So I'm going to click into the assignment flip-flop essay evaluating sources. Anytime we're looking at an assignment, of course, different professors and even different assignments will have sort of the descriptive elements and then this is the thing that I want you to do description, and then it may have some additional material for you just to reference. For this one, I happen to have the do this steps at the very top. Find and select an online source and write a paragraph evaluation, and then some blah, blah, blah descriptive stuff down here. Scrolling all the way down, we have the 3 important things that we're concerned about tonight. We have points. Come back to that thought later for whenever we're navigating Canvas. And then we have submitting, and we know that it's a file upload. Now, we don't always submit a file to Canvas. Anybody willing to volunteer? What's another way that we can interact with Canvas? Is a different way that we can put stuff on Canvas other than submitting a file? Anybody have any ideas? Want to take a guess? No, maybe.
Can you copy and paste it?
You can, yep. So especially if you're doing a text, like if you're just doing a text box, and so you might type something somewhere else and copy and paste it in, or type it directly into the text box. Excellent. Raymond, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. Excellent. Definitely. How many of you guys have ever participated in a discussion forum? Anybody ever do a discussion forum post?
Never.
Not yet? Woo! That'll be
No.
coming. That's coming up soon then. So whenever
Oh,
you're in a
God.
discussion forum, sometimes your professor will ask you to attach a file, but most often you will actually be typing directly into some sort of feed, and then you're going to post your response directly to the feed, which also looks a little bit different. So whenever we come back around after we do our first run through, if I forget, remind me to show you guys what the discussion forum type of thing might look like as well. So we're specifically looking for whenever we have a file upload. That cues us to know, hey, we're gonna have to go and open something else rather than Canvas in order to submit the assignment. And because I like to be very specific, I've told my students, hey, these are the types of files that I would like to accept. It's a docs, these are both for Word documents, or a PDF. Sometimes you may see your professor wants you to upload a video, or they want you to upload a picture of something. And so those extensions are going to be different. Like you may see a JPEG or an IMG for a photo or things like that. These tell us that we need to operate Word. Now, sometimes some of us have access to Word because we're like, hey, I needed to buy Word at a different point, so I already have it on my desktop. What's good about coming to LBC is that you don't need to have it before you come. You're already paying for it with your tuition. So to access Word, what we would do, again, we're doing this as if from scratch, very
Can I
basic.
ask a question?
Yes, of course.
What if you use Google Docs?
That's a great question. So if you're using Google Docs, then I tell my students Google Docs and Canvas don't play well together. whenever you try to upload stuff, your formatting is going to be distorted it's almost a guarantee. So I tell my students, if you love Google Docs and you're not ready to give it up, then you can use Google Docs, but I recommend to them to convert it to a Word document before submitting it to Canvas or to a PDF. And I'm going to show you how to do that from Word, how to convert something to either a different type of document or to a PDF. The process is going to be similar for Google Docs. That's a great question though. Before we move into Word, does anybody have any other questions at this point? Question time gives me a nice opportunity to take a sip of my water. So, all right. So going back to lbc.edu, we're going to go to that same spot, to the student portal. And I think I have it already still open over here. Yes, I do. Now, if you guys are looking at my screen, do you see anything that says Microsoft Word? No.
No,
Nothing says Microsoft Word, right? I saw.
no.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But Word is part of the Microsoft suite. So we're right here in the middle, Microsoft Online. It says email, OneDrive, and calendar. That's where we're going to click, even though it doesn't say Word, which is a little bit misleading. I do kind of wish that we would switch it up to like email, Word, and PowerPoint, because I feel like those are the three things that I use in Word the most. Regardless, you would want to click on Microsoft Online. Now, whenever you click on this link, it's not going to take you to Word. It's going to take you to your email. So I'm going to pretend like I clicked it and then click on my email link, because I don't want to accidentally disclose student information. I already have it all hidden. And this is what you're going to see whenever you click on that link. Everybody who's following along, tracking so far? Super, super. In order to access Word, we're going to go over to the left-hand side. And so I'm moving my cursor all the way over to the left, and your options over here may not be the same as mine. But if you hover over the little image, the little icon, it should pop up with a little description to tell you what it is. So I'm saying calendar, I don't need that. People, I don't need the directory. Groups, nope. To do, nope. OneDrive, nope. And so I may feel like a little panicked and be like, oh man, I don't have Word. We do. Go one more down to the all apps button, and it may say something like more apps. App stands for application, so I'm going to click on that, and voila, now we have access to the things that we actually want to use in the Microsoft suite. We're not doing anything with PowerPoint today, but almost guarantee you're going to interact with PowerPoint at some point of your student journey here at LBC. Today we are focused on Microsoft Word, so we're going to click on that. Wait an eternity for it to load. And here we go. Now, let's see. I just want to move myself out of the way for just a moment. Over here on the right, you can click on templates if you want to access a template. I'm not going to. I'm going to start us from a fresh blank Word document because I think that that's easier to navigate within, and we can do the things that we want to do. Just know that there are templates here, and so if we just want to click to explore for just a moment, if you're working on perhaps a resume or cover letter, you have a couple of templates here. I don't think whenever I looked earlier that the Microsoft Word that I have right here, so you have a student APA style paper template. I didn't see one for Word, which I was like, look, y'all, whatever. But you can continue to explore additional templates if you need that. Regardless, we're just doing a blank document today. So I'm going to click create a blank document. I'm going to move that back over. And now we have our Word document. How are we doing? On a scale of 1, oh gosh, well, we'll do the thumb scale. Thumbs up if you feel confident that you could, hey, I know how to get to Microsoft Word from the LBC homepage. Thumbs up. Middle thumb if you're like, maybe. Okay, all right, we're doing good. So once you're in Microsoft Word, we need to know what we're doing for the setup. So I'm actually going to hop back over to Canvas, and I'm moving my cursor over to the top, and the tab on the right is my Canvas link. I have oodles and noodles of links at the top. tabs at the top. If that confuses you, just close the tabs that you don't need once you figure out what they are. I know what my tabs are, so I'm going to leave them all open. This is the assignment that I wanted to work in. So if you're ever not sure what you need to do for the assignment, you can always look at the, hey, what do they want me to submit? What are the direct instructions? And then you can click and drag. I'm using a mouse pad, so I'm clicking and then dragging with the same thing. If you're using a mouse, of course, you're going to click and drag. And then I'm going to copy. Right here, it popped up with the option to copy. I can also use the shortcut Control C, or if you're using a Mac, it's going to be Command C. Just translate Command for Control if you're using a Mac. I'll try to remember it by Control C or Command C. And then go on over to the Word document and you can paste it in. The shortcut for paste is Control V for Victor. And I pop it in. I know that that's what I'm going to have to be working on for my assignment. Now, for most of your assignments at LBC, you're either going to be using MLA formatting or APA formatting. Now, this workshop isn't dedicated to teaching you MLA. However, I am going to do some MLA stuff because it makes more sense to start making those connections to say, hey, instead of just telling you this is this menu and this is this menu, to actually connect it to things you're going to be doing in your classes. So we're going to do a little bit of MLA work today. So if you are hoping for that, rejoice and be glad. I'm going to highlight my entire document. There is a shortcut for that as well. You don't have to remember the shortcuts, but I like saying them just because it makes you a little bit faster. And if you're a little bit faster, you're a little bit more comfortable, right? So I'm going to do Control A. That highlights my entire document. You can, of course, just click and drag. That works too. And I'm going to start right here on this home, and I like to call these menus. All of these at the top, because if you click each tab, each little menu thing, you're going to get a new menu of items. So the layout menu, and then the references menu, and then the review menu, and the view menu, and the help menu. But we're going to go back to the home menu. That's where I tend to spend a lot of my time, is in that home menu space. Very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my font. MLA and APA both recommend something like Times New Roman. So right now I am hovering over this space, and it's nice Microsoft Word populated for me and said, oh, would you like to know what this space is called? And it's the font name. So I'm going to click in that, and I'm going to start typing Times New Roman. You don't have to type. You can just click on the drop down, and then all of the different fonts available will pop up. I prefer Times New Roman as a professor. It's easier for me to read things. So if you're wondering what your professors prefer, they probably prefer Times New Roman. But if they tell you it doesn't matter, it doesn't really matter as long as it's something that's readable and you can tell if it's plain font versus italicized or bold. So I'm selecting Times New Roman. We're already set to size 12. I love size 12 font because, well, if you have a page requirement, the acceptable font is 10 to 12, and you may as well go 12, right? And then you have less to write. If you're long-winded, then go smaller, go the other way. Now, these are other buttons. We're not going to use them right this second, but you can make your font bigger or smaller, bold, italicize, and underline. There are shortcuts for these as well. These are another set of shortcuts that it's helpful to memorize. If you're going to be doing a lot of typing, it'll just make you a little bit faster and, again, a little bit more comfortable. But you can always hover over it, and Microsoft Word will tell you, oh, this is what this button does. So we have bold, italicize, and underline. Highlight, I don't tend to use a lot for my assignments. I do a lot of Bible study work, though, and I do use the highlight tool for that. But we're not going to use that today. And then font color. Again, unless it's for your Bible classes, you probably won't be changing the font color too much. But in case you were, you can always click on that drop down, which will open up another little sub menu, and you can do the colors right there. Again, I'm happy with black, so I'm going to leave that. If you happen to copy and paste something from like the library and the font color was off, that's where you would change it right there, is you would change the font color and you'd be like, hey, I want it to be black. The next several things, again, we're not worrying about these quite yet. We just want to know where they are. We have the bullets or the bullet drop down. So I'm going to click right here. So if you want to get fancy with your bullets, you have these beautiful options right here. We're not worried about that right this second. Same thing with numerics. If you're doing a class that is a writing class, you will almost assuredly be asked to create an outline. And so if you're wondering how do you make an outline look like something that's tiered, you can use one of these to help you get started. Text alignment, we're not worrying about right this second, but we're going to come back to this. So take note of where the alignment tab is. We're going to keep moving over. And once again, my Zoom thing is in my way, so I'm going to move us over to the left side. We have border options, not relevant. Forget it for now. Paragraph shading, again, it works similarly to the highlight tool. Don't worry about it. We're actually going to go all the way over, so we're going to skip all of the rest of this stuff until we get to more options. Now, more options will drop down a whole bunch of other very important things that we want to keep in consideration. I'm going to come down all the way underneath the paragraph options down to line spacing. And I'm actually going to come all the way into line spacing options. Thumbs up whenever you get into line spacing options and you feel like, okay. Super Raymond, nice. Nice. Carolyn, you following along all right? Super. Awesome. Okay. So does anybody know for MLA and APA what the required spacing is? There is a funky spacing requirement. Gotta know, no. All right, no worries. So it's two point spacing, double spaced. So pretty much all of your assignments will be double spaced unless your professor specifically asked for something else. Like I think I had like 2 doctrinal statement assignments where they asked for it single spaced. Sure. Most of them are going to be double spaced. So right here, line spacing, I'm going to select this. Right now it says multiple. I don't want multiple. I want double. So I'm going to click on that drop down and double is the option I want. Now, sometimes Microsoft Word, whatever, it's just starting off, will give you a whole bunch of extra spacing all over the place. So I'm going to make sure that everything is set to be uniform. The before spacing is set to 0. I want the after spacing to also be set to 0. I could click inside the box and type 0 and then hit enter, or I could use the up and down arrows. Either is fine. I'm also going to check this box. Don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. And those are the 3 things that I want to make sure that I do in the paragraph area. After and before both set to 0, line spacing is set to double, and then I've checked this box, don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. I'm going to click OK. And now my document's double spaced. Rejoice and be glad. Have a party. So whenever we're setting up our documents, though, we don't want to just turn in a document. Your professor's going to ask for information like, hey, who are you? Where are you? What class are you in? Who's your professor? The due date and all that fun stuff. So we're going to create a heading. So I clicked all the way up as far as I can to the top of the document, and that takes me next to the F of number 1. I'm going to hit enter. And then click next to the number 1 again, and then hit the backspace button and hit the backspace button until it won't let me go back anymore. And now I know that I'm at the furthermost corner of the document. And I'm going to enter in some different elements. Now I have a sample paper over here so that you guys don't have to watch me type until the cows come home. It'll just be a little bit faster there. So the pieces of information that you need to include for a heading, again, this isn't an MLA thing, but just so you know, is going to be your name, your professor's name, the class code, so not the name of the class, but the actual alphanumeric of the class, and then the day that the assignment is due. And those 4 things make up the heading on the left side. Now, MLA is confusing, so we have a heading on the left side. We're also going to insert a header on the top right-hand side. They are different, and there are different words. They just decided, you know what, we're going to be obnoxious. So right now we are in the home menu. We're going to go 1 menu over to the insert menu. And we're going to insert first a page number because your header is going to include 2 pieces of information, your last name and your page number. So I'm going to insert the page number first. I'm gonna click right here. And then it gave me options. And once again, my Zoom is in the way, that's okay. And I'm gonna click the one that is on the top and to the right. Depending on which version of Word you have, you may have had a drop down and had to pick the third one. You want the one that's on the top right. And you'll notice that it doesn't tell me the number, it just has the hashtag sign. I'm a millennial, oh my gosh. The hashtag, the pound sign. And so that's what you want to display. And then you're gonna want to type your last name right next to it. And I like to add a space so that your name isn't right next to the number. And if you're feeling really persnickety, you want to make sure that your details are all beautiful. Right now, my header is of a different font than the rest of my document. So I'm going to use my shortcut that we learned earlier, Control A, to highlight my entire header. And I'm going to, right now I'm in the insert menu, so I don't have the options available that I want to. So I'm going to have to go back to the home menu so that I can change my font. Right now you see that Aptos, Microsoft Word's new favorite font, whatever, we're going to change it to Times New Roman. Click. And now it's the font that I want. To get out of the header space, I like to just come, right now my cursor's inside the header, I'm just going to drag it down to somewhere in the regular part of the document, and I'm going to double click. And that'll take me out of the header space. How's everybody doing? Good, good, good. I love it. I need to take a sip of water. Pardon me. All right, let's keep rolling. So we have those things set up. So we've learned, okay, we navigated the home menu a little bit. We've looked at editing the font size, the spacing, which is this ... this ellipsis all the way over here, the more options. We've learned how to go to the insert menu and to insert a page number. We went back to the home menu to change our font. We're doing great. Now I'm going to come down here, middle right here, and we're going to add a title. Now, whenever you're adding a title, for MLA, the title is going to be Centered APA Tube on your covered page. So instead of hitting either space, or tab, you don't want to do that because, again, whenever you upload it to Canvas, Canvas is smart. And it's like, oh, you didn't actually make it centered. You just hit the tab button and it'll distort your formatting. So we're going to want to use either the shortcut, or you can go up inside the mini menu over here, hit and come on over until we get to text alignment. Remember, we pinned text alignment to come back to later. Text alignment almost in the very middle. I'm going to hit that drop down and hit the align center button. And then evaluate sources. Whatever you want to title it. I do like to title my assignments just so that it's easy to track stuff. It's always exciting whenever a student uploads the wrong thing because they've simply titled their document Doc 1, Doc 27, Doc 32, and you're like, well, which one is it? It's a little bit difficult. So I do encourage people to title their assignments. So we have this right here. We have our text right here. I am going to show you one more thing with the formatting before we get to the step of, okay, so let's say that we're finished with our assignment and we're actually two more things. So right here it says to find and select a source, provide a link, and then write a paragraph. Usually with paragraphs, you're not going to have a numbered paragraph. So again, I'm going to get rid of, oh no, too many steps. Control Z is undo. Control Z is my best friend. Control Z and Control Y. It's undo and redo, undo, redo. I just do that happy dance all day. So I'm right here right now. I'm aligned with the left margin. MLA requires 1-inch margins all around. So right now I'm aligned with it. For a paragraph, you're going to do a paragraph indent. I'm just going to hit the tab button once, and that'll bring my cursor. See that flashing line? It's going to be aligned right now to the 1/2-inch point. I like having the ruler displayed so I can check these things. If you're ever not sure, or you're like, I can't see my ruler, it's available under the view menu. We're just going to go there just briefly, just so that I can show you. Under view, if you go over again, close to the middle is that ruler. So if I wanted to hide the ruler for whatever reason, I could click that button and it takes the ruler away. I love the ruler though. I love seeing the ruler. So I'm going to go ahead and click and have that ruler back. This source is about the Babylon Bee article on Elon Musk and Doge. President Trump forgot to respond to the email and got fired. It was a great Babylon Bee article. I did laugh. Okay, so that's your paragraph, right? So it's only 2 sentences. Don't pay attention to that right now. But so you have what you needed to do here. I do want to show you a couple of, again, just a couple of additional things. So I'm right here at the bottom of my document, as far down as I can go. Sometimes you will be required to submit a works cited page with your document. So if you are citing sources or if you are including quotes, whether they're direct or if they're just allusions, you'll need to include a list of the sources that you've named. And that's going to be on a separate page from the rest of your document. Once again, I would say don't just do enter, 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 enter. To get to that new page, again, Canvas will know that you hit enter a whole bunch of times. So instead of doing that, we're going to go back to our second favorite menu. Instead of the home menu, we're going to go back to that insert menu. And right here, right underneath it, I'm going to click page break. And then voila, we have that new page right there. Now this is really nice because no matter how much text I write up here, this is going to stay right here until and unless I type enough to go over the page, and then it'll automatically bump to a new page. It's great. It's a fabulous tool. I highly encourage. Again, I have some things already set up for us that I can just copy and paste so you can see an example. So I'm going to copy and paste one of these sources and drop it over here. And I'm going to get rid of this formatting so that I can just show you briefly. Just like above, we're going to title our works cited page. So I'm going to center my alignment. Does anybody remember, can anybody tell me, where do I need to go in order to change my alignment? Can I do it in this menu? Or do I need to go to a different tab?
Go back to the home page.
Super. Where do I need to go next?
Well, it's kind of in the middle there.
Kind of in the middle. Yep. And if you know,
Yeah.
if you can't quite remember, I highly recommend just hover over stuff and let it tell you what it is. So bullets, I don't want bullets. I don't need numbering. Text alignment. There we go. And then I can change it manually. There is that shortcut there. Control E will get you to the or Command E, whichever, will get you to the middle. And that's great. So I'm going to title this works. Oh, heavens above, works cited. Just like that. And that's the way to format it for MLA. Again, this is an MLA. So whenever you have all of the information in for your source and you say, okay, this is all the information that's required for the works cited entry. Again, if you're like, whoa, how do I know? Come back for one of our MLA workshops. I think we have one scheduled in March. It's going to be great. But you're going to want to have this set up with a different kind of indent. Does anybody remember back up with our paragraph, what we did to make the paragraph indent? What button did we hit on our keyboard?
The insert.
Close. And actually, and depending on the keyboard that you have, it might be titled different things. On my keyboard, it's titled tab. So it's on the left-hand side of my keyboard. It really doesn't like me. Hold on, it doesn't want to do the tab here. Just let me demonstrate. Over here, if I hit tab, you notice that it goes over here. Sometimes whenever you get inside with templates, it decides that it doesn't like you. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Okay, so it doesn't want to do my tab manually. You know what? That's okay because we don't want a tab for this anyway. I was just hoping to illustrate the difference between a paragraph tab and a regular tab. So I'm going to highlight this entry. And if you double click, it'll just do one word. But if you triple click, it'll highlight that entire thing. And I'm going to go back to the line and paragraph spacing over here on the ... more options. That's the direction that I need to go. But instead of going under paragraph 2 line spacing, I'm actually going to go one down to special indent. And Zoom is hiding the stuff once again. I can't win with Zoom today. That's all right. So dot, 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 all the way down to special indent. Now you could, if Word was giving you trouble, you could do first line and that'll give you that paragraph indent. Or since we're on our works cited, we can do the hanging indent. And that's how we have it set up like that, so that the author's name is highlighted, which is why your works cited page will always have that hanging indent. Pin that for later. So let's say our document is done and we're like, okay, whew, all that work. Now my document is ready to submit. Now we want to be able to get this to a spot where you're going to know where it is and how to get it to Canvas, because I can't tell you the number of times where I thought I saved my document and then I go to find it and I'm like, well, where is it? Where's my document? And I can't find it. So we're going to give you a couple of tips and tricks for that. Over in the menu space on the left-hand side, we have File. File is our best friend. So we're going to click on File, and this is where we can do a couple of fun things. One thing that we can do is note that the document is auto-saved online to documents. So that's something to note. So it's telling us this is where this is saved. It's saved in documents. We can also create a copy and download a copy to our computer. I tell students that if they're having trouble with Canvas and they're having trouble with their formatting getting distorted to Canvas, that they can download a copy that way. You can also export the document and download it as a PDF. So if you are, again, you can do something similar in Google Docs. You can actually download it as a PDF or as a doc, and then you should be able to upload it to Canvas that way. But before I want to do that, I actually want to rename my document, because right now my document is titled Document 2. And that's no fun. So we're going to rename the document. There are two ways that you can do it. You can, in the file space, just go to the rename button. So if you click on file and then come all the way down, you can click on rename. That's beautiful. You can also just click on the title and then it'll pop up and have this highlighted. So I'm going to retitle it Evaluating Sources. And note again that it tells me where it's saved. So it's saved under myself, under documents. Now, again, if I want to save it somewhere else, because for whatever reason I'm having trouble finding something, you can go to File and you can say, you know what, I want to move the file. So I'm going to click Move File, and it's going to give me a whole bunch of options now for where I can save my file to. It doesn't necessarily matter where you're saving it to. Well, it kind of does a little bit. You want to be able to find it. That's the first thing, is you want to be able to find where your document is saved. But also, so if you are saving something to your desktop, you're working on your personal computer and you've saved it to your desktop, that means it's almost, not quite literally, almost literally, it's living on your computer. So you can't get it if you are somewhere else. So if you're at school and you're, you went in for a day for some reason, or you're with a niece or nephew or something, and you're like, oh no, I need to submit that document, I forgot. You won't be able to access it if you don't have your computer with you. So that's something important. So downloads and desktop are limited to your computer. So ideally, if you're not having trouble with the online space, I would recommend saving your documents to something online, because then even if you're not at home on your computer, or if you don't have your computer with you, or Lord forbid, your computer breaks, you'll still have access to your documents, which is a big deal. So right now, so I have some of these files over here. This is inside just my system. You can go down to shared, favorites, and then if you keep going down here, these are all of the different places that I have. These are all online locations. You could even go further and try saving something to your desktop, but again, we're not worried about that right now. We want it to be accessible. So how do we feel about, hey, we have all of our alignment, we have our formatting down, we know how to insert, and now we know how to change the name. We feel ready to go to Canvas and upload our document. Thumbs up. If you go anywhere other than a thumbs up, then feel free to shoot a question out. Oh, we got all thumbs up. Oh, look at that. You guys are pros. You didn't need this workshop. What are you here for? All right. So I'm going to come back over to Canvas. And I'm actually going to enter student view so that I can upload the document for you. Whenever you guys click in, you will normally see, hey, start assignment. So I'm going to click on that big red button. And then it's going to ask you to choose a file. Now, right now it took us straight to the file upload button. That's great. It's a beautiful place to live. So I'm just going to go ahead and click choose file. Wait eternity for the spot to open. Now, this right here took me to my drive where I'm like, okay, so this is where my stuff is. That's beautiful. And it's sorted by things that we were working on. Now, I don't see the document that we were just doing. Do you guys see it? I don't see it. And so if you have that happen, you're like, oh, I thought it was going to be right there. I don't know where it is. Then you're going to have to do a little bit of problem solving, and you're going to have to say, okay, well, it doesn't appear to be right here, but where is this? Okay, am I in my downloads or am I on the online space? I don't know. So I'm going to start clicking. So I'm going to start at the top because it makes more sense to be orderly and just sort of go through than to panic and look all over the place. So I'm going to click on home, and no, this doesn't seem to be where I need it to be. So I'm going to click on gallery. And there's nothing there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the next one. Oh, look, lo and behold, there it is. Evaluating sources. Once you click on the name, the file name will populate right here. And that's how you know that you've selected the document that you want to select. So then I'm going to come over, and my Word has the open instead of upload or whatever. So that's the button you want to click. You want to click open, even though that doesn't really make sense for what we're doing. Open's the right button. And notice, so I have it evaluating sources. It's linked right here. I don't need to add another file. So I'm good to go. I'm going to hit submit assignment. Hopefully I get a little party. Yeah, little party. And once you submit your document to Canvas, I really strongly encourage students to double check what it looks like. Just in case, maybe you didn't actually save it all the way and you've uploaded a blank document. That's happened to my students before, and they're like, I promise I did the assignment. And I'm like, I would love to believe you, but your document is blank. Send me the assignment. So I always like to click on over here, submission details. And then once I'm there, you have this nice option to click view feedback. Now, ideally, hopefully, your professors will be going through, they'll be grading your assignment, and they will actually be giving you feedback on your assignment. But even before they do that, you can look to see, hey, what did my assignment look like? And see, I can preview, okay, and did it take my page break? It did. Everything looks beautiful. Okay, I don't see any problems with my document. Great, so I don't need to add any comments to my professor saying, hey, so for some reason, Canvas got rid of my, actually, look, right there, there is a problem. Notice how it got rid of my paragraph indent, right there. I had that paragraph indented and Canvas was like, nope, not today, sucker. So it got rid of that paragraph indent. So that might be something that I want to tell my professor and say, hey, I know I'm supposed to have paragraph indents. When I uploaded my document to Canvas, it got rid of it. So I could very much just click right here, add a comment. Hi, Professor. Canvas got rid of my paragraph indent. I'm great. And then you're going to hit save. And then it adds the comment to Canvas. And so now your professor will see that whenever they view your document. But they're saying they're seeing, hey, there's initiative on your end. And now you know how to get it to Canvas. Questions at this point? We've gone all the way from Canvas, looking at the assignment description, to opening a new Word document, saving that Word document, and then finding it in Canvas and getting it uploaded to Canvas. What questions do you guys have at this point before we show you guys some additional nifty things with Canvas and Word? That was the major deliver for the night. All right. So now we're going to go back in and we're going to start in Canvas. I'm going to show you guys a couple of additional tools that you may not know about at this point. And I mean, hopefully somebody has shown you, but just in case not, some different tools that are available for you.
I have a
And
question.
yes,
When you do the headers and stuff for the paper, can you save it so that when next time you go back, it'll still be there, or you got to do it all over in manual again?
I see.
When you,
Yes. So Word used to have a function where you could save something as a template. And I don't know where that function went because I can't figure it out anymore. I don't know, maybe it's just a millennial, but inner boomer who's holding on to it. There used to be a button and now it's not an easy button. What I do like to do whenever I'm starting a new document and I already have my formatting all set is I will go up to the file space. And actually here, I'm sorry, this is the desktop version. Let me go back into the Microsoft Word edition so that it's mirrored. So we're going into file. And then whenever we come down here, I can create a copy. And if you create a copy of something, then you can open it or save it as a new document. And then you will essentially have created a template for yourself. You can just delete the information on the new document that you didn't need and like change the professor name or the due date and things like that. So that's my workaround as of the moment. Or you can just save a document and call it your template. And then just whenever you open it, you're just going to make sure that you save it as something different. So you're going to create a copy of it from that initial document. That's a good question. Other questions before we explore a little bit?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Will this, I see you recording it, will this be available up to us and maybe email
Yes.
to us and then we can
Of
go
course.
back?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Very
Okay,
definitely.
thank you.
Yep, as soon as we're done, it'll start doing its magic behind the scenes, and that takes a little bit, and then I will edit the beginning and end to make sure that it's just the straight relevant information. You don't have to watch me staring at my screen for 10 minutes waiting to see if anybody hops in early. And then yeah, we'll send it out to you for sure. Great question.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Other questions? All right. So let's go ahead back into Canvas here. And I'm going to get out of, I'm going to get out of student view. Go back to my home screen. I really should, I just like having the zoom on the right hand side. I just like it. So whenever you're in Canvas, so we talked about having, okay, so whenever you're in the thing, you're going to see all of the assignments that are due for that week. And that's great. But I find that sometimes it's hard to get into the flow of those online classes. The pace is sort of like, oh my gosh, it's all at once. And it's very different from even the in-person classes that I teach. There's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to work through. So I think it's helpful to go over just a couple of tips and tricks for how do you prepare yourself mentally for engaging with those classes. I always there's always some sort of coming up on the right-hand side, and there'll be just a running list of all of the things that are coming up. That's nice. It sort of gives you a sense of urgency and imminency of these are the things that are coming up immediately in like the next couple of days or within the next week. However, for some of us who are a little bit more, we like to at least strive to be organized with our lives, whether we succeed or not. So one of the tools that I like to use is the calendar. You can click on calendar over here on the right hand side, view calendar. It's also available for us on the left hand side, all the way on the left. So I'm going to click on it from here. And this, you have a couple of view options. You can do just a week at a time. You can do a month at a time, which is my preferred option, as you can tell, since that's how it popped up. or you can do the agenda, and the agenda kind of functions like if you had everything written out. You can't see it. You had everything written out on a piece of paper. You literally cannot see. There we go. There's my piece of paper. Good old backgrounds. But again, so you can have it set up with a month's view, and then on the right-hand side, you can select your different classes and you can change even the color. So if you only want to see one class, you can see that coming up. It's crossed out whenever you've completed an assignment, which is super helpful, or if it's past, it's too late. We used to, in a galaxy far, far away and a time long, long ago, we had paper. Actually, they still do this at the Ally Center. They still have paper copies. We used to have to just do this by hand and handwrite in all of our assignments at the beginning of the semester. I did like doing that because I like to be able to see everything on a single piece of paper, but this does it for you. So it takes everything that the professor has put into Canvas and it places it on a calendar spreadsheet for you. So it could be a helpful tool for you as you're looking to plan out your weeks. Generally speaking, each of the courses is going to have a discussion forum and then a whole bunch of other documents. That is not the class that I wanted to click on. Pause, reverse. I don't think I even have any discussion forums for this class because we're so in person. A good thing to note about discussion forums is that usually there is a first post that is due on like Wednesday, and then there are follow-up posts. There are replies that are due later in the week, usually Saturday. Usually too, the rest of your assignments will almost always be due on Saturday. Sometimes there's an exception, like you need something on Thursday or Friday, especially the last week, but for the most part, that's going to be the flow. Now, I don't know about you guys, but again, online classes are a lot. And so whenever you're looking through all of the assignments and you're trying to sort out how do I spend my time this week, I like to look through and I like to see what's worth the most points, what's due first, what's going to take me the most time, and are there any assignments that are building toward a cumulative final project? Because those are all of the considerations that'll help me figure out how to allot the time of my week, just in case something needs to get asked. Ideally, you'll be able to get everything done and everything in on time, but just in case. Now here on this page, there isn't anything that tells us how much anything is worth, but we do have something that indicates to us that something is building toward a final project. Can anybody see any clues on this page that looks like it could be building toward a final project?
Business proposal step 3.
Excellent, very good. Yeah, because it's step 3. And so we know that we're building toward something. So if you click into this business proposal step 3, it's only worth 10 points, but I'm building the pieces of my final project. And my final project is going to be worth more than 10 points, right? It's going to be worth like 100 points or something like that. And it's going to, kind of matter for my grade. So doing things like that are going to be helpful. Notice this has an estimated time, 5 hours. That's a lot of time, but it's building to my final project. And so as we're thinking about how do I allot my time, looking at those little clues on Canvas, both the estimated time, it's building toward a step, and then how much is it worth are helpful steps. And again, it's sort of within the week, usually discussion forums, they have those initial posts and then they will have follow-up posts. And so I don't think, I won't be able to actually show you anything because these assignments are now gone. If you were trying to post in a discussion forum, you as a student. Yeah, it's closed. But you would have an opportunity to reply to this first, and you won't be able to see the rest of the responses until you send in your first reply, and then you would be able to reply to your students. I also always recommend students take a look at the syllabus, and sometimes the syllabus will be reflected in the assignments. The syllabus has sort of two parts to it. First of all, you'll see sometimes they have the course summary down there, which is nice as well. But the actual syllabus itself will have the weight of the assignments in relation to your grade. So you'll notice that lessons and responses are worth 10% of the grade, whereas activities and writings are worth 30%. So if we go over to then over here in the assignments menu, we'll use that same language from Microsoft Word. I have these assignment categories and the different assignment categories. So these are all past, so it's not displaying the assignment categories anymore. I'll show you in a different. Oh Lord. Have mercy. Leave student view. Leave student view. It's like, you don't have access to that. Like, I do have access to it. I'm the professor. And like, no, you're not. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in student mode still. So if you go to assignments, it'll show you that it's grouped by assignment category, and it'll show you how much each assignment category is worth. So this final argument of essay final draft itself, by itself, is worth 20%. That's a scary assignment. Don't forget to submit that assignment. Same thing with the flip-flop, worth 15%. Final draft, the critical book review, worth 10%. And so, as I tell my students, they're like, hey, you have a reading due that's worth 5%. You know, all of your readings together are worth 5% of your grade. And then you have your paper, which is worth 20% of your grade. What should you spend more time on? Yes, the paper that's worth 20% of your grade. And so looking at these things, again, it's not like it's necessary for you to know this in order to function within Canvas, but it's just helpful to take a look and be like, oh, well, that's kind of helpful. That's a helpful thing to navigate in. Of course, you will also want to be familiar with the announcements tab, where your professor will be communicating with you. You can click on it. Sometimes they'll have the reply option, sometimes not, but you can click on the announcement and then see what your professor wrote. Grades, also very helpful. So if you click in on grades, now I'm not going to because it would display my students and that would be a breach of student privacy. So I'm not going to do that. But if you did click on grades, you would be able to then further click within it to be able to see what you got on different assignments. And I always encourage students, hey, like we did whenever we initially submitted the assignment, don't just look at your grade, but look at your feedback, because the feedback is going to be critical for you to know what did you do well and what could you do differently next time in order to improve. Sometimes there'll be a rubric with it and the professors will just give comments on the rubric. Sometimes they'll give it on the assignment itself. Like I showed, hey, you can I selected the pink little annotation tool. I like to use the annotations because I teach writing classes, so I make lots of annotations. And sometimes they'll just do a comment on the side, like we wrote to the professor to tell them about the paragraph indent. Those are all three good things to check just to see, hey, what feedback has my professor given me so that I can continue to move forward. And those are the primary things that are, I think, the easiest things to use to help you navigate Canvas and do it well. If you end up in a class where it's set up kind of like mine, hopefully your professor will have things labeled so that it's like, hey, these are the pages that you can page through, and then these are readings that are due, these are writing assignments due. Again, most of them are going to be set up like that business writing class that I showed you guys, where the lessons are all laid out that way, and then you just page through each lesson, which has the assignment embedded into it. Questions on Canvas before we return back to Word? Not yet. Okay. So back in Microsoft Word. So we've already played around a little bit in the home menu, and we've played around in the insert menu. And the two things that I showed you guys in the insert menu are the things that we're going to be using the most in this menu, the page break and the page numbers. I usually don't do too much else in Microsoft Word for the assignments that we're doing for the classes. Something that you might end up using some days, you might insert a picture over here, or you might insert a comment on something. We're not going to spend time on it though, because again, I've never seen somebody require that. Additional things that you can certainly play around with. Over here, you have the layout feature. Again, not really going to use it too much, but what might you end up playing around with? You might end up playing with the margins. Your professor may ask for something that doesn't have regular margins. If you remember, I said that both APA and MLA require 1-inch margins all around, so this is already set up correctly. But let's say that maybe you just had a moment and you messed up your margin and you dragged it all the way to the side and you're like, oh no, I don't know how to fix that. You can just go back up here into margins and hit normal, and then it'll fix it for you. So in case we accidentally move something around, you can just click on that. Sometimes you might need to have something set up in landscape mode. So your professor may want you to do something in Word and have something visually laid out, but you won't be able to see the whole thing in portrait mode. So you can basically turn it on its side. So it's 11 by 13, 8.5 by 11 document, but it's, again, just flipped over. I don't know, maybe. I had it happen like twice in my undergraduate. You will need to play with most of the rest of this, but I would encourage you to do what we did before and to just play around with, hey, if I click on this, what happens? So this is going to increase my indent. Maybe if I hit this button, there we go. And this could be useful if you are doing an annotated bibliography. So editing the indent, the formatting is going to be all funky. So playing around with the indentation. Just like in the home button. So if we go back to the home menu and go to the ... these options, increase indent, decrease indent, and then line spacing. I said those opposite, it's fine. You guys were tracking, are the same things that are over here in layout. So some of these things are repeating. Also available for you is the reference menu. For the most part, again, you're not going to use this necessarily for a lot of the undergraduate classes. If you do any graduate work classes, or if you're doing some of the maybe business writing, or we're getting more and more into the psychology field. So you may end up needing something like to insert a footnote or something like that. I use footnotes whenever I write my Bible study stuff, but you shouldn't need them too much here. You can play around with citations. And so if you have a source that you're going to be using regularly, EasyBib I find to be fairly user-friendly. I used, nope. I thought I saw one, but it's not there. So these can be helpful tools for you to use. They're not required though. So if you feel more comfortable just doing things manually, that's what I prefer to do. Again, the inner boomer, I'm just going to type out all of my citations by hand. Don't give me some technology. But these could be helpful for you if you're looking for some shortcuts in there as well. Review mode can be very helpful. It has the options for you to do spell check, spelling and grammar. If your assignment is you're required to write a certain amount and they're asking for a word count, even if it's a discussion forum, you can absolutely type it up in Word first and then click and drag the stuff that you want to count, and then click on word count, show word count, click, click, and it'll tell you, so hey, I've selected 130 out of total 724 of the document. Right now it's giving me an editor score, so I can see the suggestion. This, as I tell my students, is the only use of artificial intelligence that I approve of in the classroom. So they're telling me, hey, I have a spelling error down here, but it's a database name. So I would say I would like to ignore that suggestion because it's essentially correct. Ignore all. It's not going to. Also here you have, again, the comments button. If you're ever doing a peer review, sometimes a professor will have you do it in Word instead of in Canvas. Not sure why they would do that, but if occasionally you may have that happen. And so you can add comments here as well. We also saw that in the insert space. So again, as we're noticing, Word has things in a couple of different places. If you are editing a document and you're not sure if you're going to love the changes that you're making. So let's say that you work on the document, you walk away and you come back and you're like, I have a brand new vision for this project. You can track the changes, and whenever you track changes, if I delete something, so if I delete this line, it's going to delete it, but it's not going to truly delete it. So it's going to show me, hey, this is what you got rid of. This is how you change the document, so that if your new and inspired self was not quite as new and inspired as you thought you were, and you actually want to go back and add some of those changes back in, it'll track those changes for you. And then you can say, hey, I can accept that change, or I can reject it and say, no, 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 I want to keep that. So that can be helpful from an editing standpoint, or if you have somebody helping you look over a paper and they're giving you suggestions, you can make sure to click track changes, so that as they're giving you suggestions, you can actually go through and say, yes, I like that. No, I do not. What was the thing? Oh, I know. It's here. We'll come back to it. Come back to it. So we already looked at view for the ruler button. A couple of other things that you can access here. You can access the header and footer from the view button. So if you forgot how to get to the insert space, you can just click through, and then whenever you get to view, it'll take you right here to the header and footer. You can do some different options here. I'm going to close the preview. You can also click on help. No, not really. You can make it bigger and smaller over here on the zoom. You can also, if I take my cursor all the way down to the sort of bottom right hand side, you can click this button and I can make it bigger or smaller, or you can use the buttons. So click, click, and then right now, there you go, click, click. And that can be helpful too, depending on how good or bad your eyesight is. You may want to see the document. Whenever I'm doing a passage layout, sometimes I'll want to make it smaller so that I can see the entire passage at a time and get more of a bird's eye view. So I like to use this navigation tool as well. We didn't really talk about this, but there is a scroll option on the right hand side, so you can click and drag that, or you can use whatever cursor you have to use, either the 2-finger slide, or you can just use your mouse to scroll as well. Couple of additional things, just a couple, and then I will let you guys go. If you go back to the home menu, I moved the zoom too soon. Over here on the right hand side, we didn't talk about any of these additional options. We jumped straight over to the ... Some of you may, and I run into a lot of students who are like, you know what, whenever I was in school, we hand wrote things, and it's really obnoxious to have all of, to use Microsoft Word. Some of you are coming from environments where you're used to typing, but maybe you're just a verbal processor. I like the dictation tool. So the dictation tool is right here. And if you click on it, it's listening right now. So as I'm talking, it's actually writing down what I'm saying. Now, is it perfect? No. However, it can be really nice if you're just trying to get some thoughts out, or if you're not the fastest typer and you're trying to get through something quickly, it can be a helpful tool for you. And I'm going to click the button to stop dictation, and notice it said try saying pause dictation. So you can talk to it like you do Siri or Alexa or whatever. Again, I'm a boomer. I'm like, it's not listening to me. My voice isn't deep enough. My husband can talk to it, but I can't. So you can certainly use this tool. It's available for you to make things just a little bit easier for you. I would just say, whenever you're using dictation, make sure you're aware of where your cursor is clicking, where that little flashing line is. Otherwise, you're going to type it in the wrong spot. So just make sure it's in the right spot before you start using it. This editor tool is what we opened before. So if you want to do the spell check, this is also available for you on the home menu. And then occasionally you may want to change view. So right now we're in reviewing mode. You can move it to editing mode, or sometimes somebody might send you a file and it might be in viewing mode. You can change it to any of these modes, and it won't, if you're in viewing mode, you can't make changes. So if you just want to look at something to see how it's going to display for the final, you can do it in viewing mode. Otherwise, I would stick to editing mode. If you open something in desktop, Microsoft Word desktop, it may not save online. So just be aware of that, that if you save it in the desktop version, you may end up having issues that way. On the plus side, if you're operating in the desktop version, whenever you upload things to Canvas, it's more likely that it's not going to distort your formatting. Why? Only the good Lord knows. And I'm pretty sure that whenever I get to heaven, I'm not going to be curious enough about that to ask. So I will never know. One final thing for you guys here. We have the share button right here. You can copy the link to a file and send people something. That's something you can do. You can also click share, and then it'll pop up with, and you can type your stuff in here. That's an option. However, whenever I try to send people stuff, usually I have trouble because, or rather whenever students send me things, because they'll say, hey, I sent you this file, and I try clicking on the link and it doesn't work. For whatever reason, the file doesn't work and it won't go through. And so what I would recommend instead, and hopefully, sorry, I just want to make sure that I don't accidentally show these emails here. Okay, great. So whenever you're sending an email and you want to send it to your professor, you're going to click new email, and then you're going to send it to whoever, send it to myself. Up on the top, so if I go down here, on the top here, you can go to insert, and then it'll say attach a file. And once again, I just can't predict where the Zoom things are going to pop up. And then you can, it'll suggest some files, and maybe I wanted to send evaluating sources, or you can click browse this computer, and it'll show you some, it'll take you right back to that space where we were before. And so I recommend attaching documents to your emails rather than sending the links, because it's more reliable. Now, if your professor said, no, that's fine, I accessed it, then that's fabulous. Otherwise, here you go, you have another way to do it. All right, so we've gotten all the way from going into Canvas for the first time and looking through, getting to our assignment, figured out how to figure out the type, go into Word, set up our Word document, and then jump right back into Canvas, upload our file, and we've explored some additional features of Canvas and Word. What other questions do you guys have? Any other questions?
Don't have any, but I'm sure I will as I use it.
Right, that's what I love to tell people. I'm like, not yet, but I will.
So when we actually go on live with our professors, we click, or do we click Zoom, or we click on?
Oh, so whenever you're with your professors, like for their live meetings,
Yes.
so usually they will provide those in a couple of different places. Oftentimes they will have it embedded in the module itself. So it'll say, click here to go here. I don't have Zoom enabled in this class because my students are all in person. But if you're in a class that does have Zoom, there should be a Zoom option over here. Or if you're inside your Zoom, and you will need to be logged into your LBC account in order to see it, you can go to, and it'll start on your profile. You'll have to go to your meetings. 7 years later, it's getting there. And it'll show you the upcoming meetings that you should be enrolled in. As long as you're logged in to Zoom, to your LBC account, you should have on the left-hand side in your Canvas for your classes a Zoom option. And then whenever you click into it, you may need to re-enter your information for the LBC authentication, but it should take you there then as well.
Yes, and I learned today that I had to create a separate one because I
account.
already have
Yeah.
Zoom for work, and so I wasn't understanding why I wasn't doing. But Now I got it there.
Woohoo! And that's just one of the things that you don't know until you get in and you're like, why isn't this working? I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know why this isn't working. And you figured it out though, on the fly. Well done. It's rough. It's rough. Any other questions or comments? Alrighty, well, everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, my name is Mariah. I am one of the tutors. So if you run into anything, you need any help, please hit me up. You can send me an email directly, or you can go to, remember we looked at from the, nope, wrong page, from the LBC portal, you can go to Ally Services, and then you can schedule an appointment and you can check out the schedule with any one of our tutors. We're here to be helpful, and so you can definitely do that. We do have a workshop that is coming up in March, a whole bunch of workshops coming up, but the next one coming up in March that I'm very much thinking about is about MLA formatting. So if you were like, ooh, tell me more about that MLA stuff, we have one of those workshops coming up in March. I don't want to hold you past 7:15, so thank you guys again so much for joining, and I hope that you all have a fabulous rest of your night.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for your
much.
time.
Thank you.